In a world overrun by zombies, a lonely man with a set of rules travels across what was once the United States of America. He teams up with a cowboy on a quest to find snack cakes. But they encounter a pair of sisters who teach them the true meaning of enjoying the little things.
Femininity in the post-apocalypse.
Hello there, my dramatic dorks of doomsday. You're listening to Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse, a feminist exploration of dystopian media. I'm your host, Klaire Lockheart. I'm a painter, a nerd, and I'm here to reassure you that it's not too early to start decorating for Halloween. I really should be hard at work painting right now, but I'm taking a break so I can chat about the movie Zombieland from 2009 with my fantastic guest. We'll talk about the plot, evaluate the film, and then you'll get to meet the next recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree from the unaccredited College of Klaire. Thank you so much for being here, my friends. My guest is my favorite corporate, industrial, lifestyle photographer, Aaron C Packard. Hello. While I may be the president of the Aaron Packard fan club, I want it officially noted on the record that I admired Aaron's work years before we even started dating, so my assessment of his photography isn't completely biased. However, I encourage all of you lovely listeners to see Aaron's artwork for yourself by visiting his website, aaronpackard.com, which is spelled AARONPACKARD. He is a one-man band with a van, so he often travels long distances to work with clients or to create his own projects. Fortunately, he is between adventures and back in his studio today. Please welcome my fabulous guest, who also happens to be my husband, Aaron C Packard. Woo!
Well, hello. Happy to be back.
Aaron, I'm pleased that you could carve out time out of your wild schedule.
Yes, it is wild at this time. Sure.
Sure. You just got back from making moto photos at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, and you're gearing up to hit the road again for another project.
Yes. I have to head back to the Black Hills of South Dakota.
All of that traveling does seem appropriate since Zombieland is quite a road trip movie.
Totally a road trip movie.
Aaron, thank you so much for returning to the Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse show. For the last episode, you joined me to talk about the novel Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits. But today, as I already stated, we're going to examine the film Zombieland. Aaron, please tell us, why is this film in your rotation of zombie movies?
Well, I think this one definitely is, it hits more on the comic side, of course, which is, I find more fun and sort of in expressing the absurdity of the whole zombie genre. And it rather expresses that absurdity well, I believe. I would say the only other one that probably tops it at this time would be Jim Jarmusch's Dead Don't Die.
What about Shaun of the Dead?
That one, I don't know. That would be in between. I'm not sure. I would have to do a full review of all movies together and then make a decision.
I really enjoy the horror comedy combination because by having those different extremes within the movie, the scary parts are scarier, the funnier parts are funnier, and I think I was influenced a little too much by the Evil Dead franchise.
Yes, that's a good influence, I think.
As many of our friends know, just because I'm in a room while a movie is playing, it doesn't mean I actually pay attention. I know that I've watched this movie with you a couple times, but I have the worst attention span for TV.
Yes, I would concur on that. Yes, absolutely.
I tend to pay attention for a little bit, but then I usually get distracted by work. I'll refocus and catch a funny scene, but then I'll often wander off to go find snacks.
Yes.
I do remember seeing the sequel in the theater with you.
Yes.
However, I want to mention that I liked this movie overall because it's one of the few zombie films that doesn't have the theme that humans were the real monster all along.
True, true. Although they might be. But, that's just the way it is.
They didn't spend the whole movie fighting other
No.
humans.
Yes, that is very true.
And that's kind of refreshing. I'm going to do my best to recount what happens in the movie Zombieland to refresh our memories. This will also provide context for our friends listening who haven't watched it in a while or haven't seen it at all. There's a lot of zombie gore and violence, but it's not too bad since this movie is framed as a comedy.
Yes.
Also, I think a lot of the blood splatter was done digitally.
Definitely some. I mean, there were a lot of practical blood effects as well, but no, they had fun throwing it all over the place. Let's just say that.
Now, this movie isn't so tame that I think Tina Belcher would fantasize about it in her erotic friend fiction, but there are more. Oh no, would she and Jimmy Jr. have to go off to the amusement park?
Probably.
Okay.
Yes.
Aaron, you have seen this movie more times than I have, so please feel free to jump in at any time to help me out with the plot and details.
Okay.
Afterwards, we'll rate the film according to the Maenad-O-Meter.
The manometer? Manomena.
According to the ancient Greeks, Maenads would hang out in the woods and drink wine. Unfortunately, I didn't have any wine when I watched Zombieland most recently. Aaron, do you remember what we had to drink?
I think we were drinking tea.
There was honey in it.
Yes, there was honey in it.
That was tasty.
Yes, very, very tasty.
Are you ready for the synopsis?
I am ready.
In a world overrun by zombies, a lonely man with a set of rules travels across what was once the United States of America. His voiceover narration explains that 2 months prior, someone ate a contaminated burger from a gas station, and somehow Mad Cow transformed from a neurological disease into a virus, which caused this patient zero to turn into a zombie and crave human flesh.
The whole world is meat.
Nice to meet you.
Ooh, yes.
Between this plot point and that episode of Futurama when Fry gets worms, this is why I'm afraid to eat gas station food. Aaron,
totally.
Have you ever picked up an exotic illness from eating at a gas station?
Apart from food poisoning? No.
I actually think I've had worse luck at airports.
Oh, yeah. It's more of just the odds because, gas stations you can kind of avoid. Sometimes you're just stuck in an airport and you don't have any choice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the movie kicks off with good old-fashioned body shaming when the narrator explains that all the people who were fat died first because, and I quote, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
I don't want to lose my willing suspension of disbelief so soon, but being thin doesn't guarantee speed and grace. When I have been very hungry and skinny, I don't have energy to run.
True.
Over the course of the opening credits, a montage of zombies bite and eat the living humans in slow motion. An infected bride attacks a groom. An undead woman stripper wearing only pasties and a few dollars chases after fully dressed men, and firefighters battle a flaming corpse.
Mm-hmm. with lots of good splatters.
The narrator introduces himself as a college student traveling from Austin, Texas to Columbus, Ohio, to check up on his parents, even though they weren't close. He elaborates that he has many phobias but no friends. He reveals his rules for surviving the apocalypse throughout the story, but I'm going to list them all here. 1. Cardio. 2. Double tap. 3. Beware of bathrooms. That's just good advice for everyday life,
I
apocalypse
think
or
so.
not.
Definitely.
Speaking of bathrooms, Aaron, didn't you just find out that your porta potty photo, your South Dakota sunset composition, won another award?
Yes, it did. It was the National American Photographic Artists Competition. It got second place in travel and landscape.
Okay, I want to make a your number 2 joke. But congratulations, that's incredible. I can't believe how much acknowledgement and celebration your porta potty photograph is getting. It's incredible.
Yes. It makes me kind of recalculate some of my career, I think.
If you can make something as banal and mundane and stinky as a landscape in South Dakota with portable bathrooms on the horizon look good.
Yeah, I guess
If
so.
you can make that look good, that just speaks volumes of the work that you do, where you have more attractive subject matter.
Yes.
Oh, anyway, back to the list. Number 4 is seatbelts. 7, travel light. Do you travel light when you pack up the van and head to...
I wish I could, but it just never works out that way.
17, don't be a hero. 18, limber up. 22, when in doubt, know your way out. 31, check the back seat. And 32, enjoy the little things.
Aaron,
Aaron,
so what do you think some of the ones were in between?
I know. I was going to ask you, Aaron, what rule would you have for the zombie apocalypse?
I guess just don't eat gas station hamburgers, I suppose.
I would have wash your hands.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be a good one too. Yes,
That
yes.
should just be a rule in general.
Everyone must wash their hands.
As the main character walks along the destitute interstate with his red rolly suitcase, a black vehicle with a plow attached to the front frightens him. He cowers behind a motorcycle and aims his gun at the cowboy who is driving the vehicle. They point their weapons at each other. But then the protagonist sticks out his thumb to indicate that he wants to hitch a ride. The cowboy lets him in the vehicle and offers him a drink. The driver says they don't use names, and so they name themselves after their destinations.
Yes, you don't want to get too close in the apocalypse, so knowing somebody's real name, that would be...
And what happens if 2 people are from the same town? Like, do we have to change both of our names to Vermilion? That would get confusing.
Yeah, it would. But it's a small main cast, so they don't have to worry about it.
What city name would you pick for yourself in this reality?
Oh, I was kind of thinking earlier about like actual places I've lived instead of where I was going. So I thought Mystic would be a fun one.
Oh, that's a good one. I think I want to be Hamanatra.
Ooh, Hamanatra. Nice. I like it.
The narrator shall henceforth be known as Columbus, and the cowboy is Tallahassee. They decide to team up.
Tallahassee is an interesting character.
Indeed. Columbus admires Tallahassee's zombie annihilation expertise. Tallahassee hates zombies, loves killing them, and he's obsessed with finding Twinkies because it will remind him of a simpler time.
Yes. Now, as we were contemplating earlier, was there a styling kind of influence by the mascot of Twinkie? What is that, Twinkie the Kid or something like that for Woody Harrelson's character?
Yeah, their logo is a sentient Twinkie with a cowboy hat, right?
Yes.
So he is Twinkie the Kid?
I think so. I
So
think he
Twinkie the
is.
kid wants to eat Twinkies. So is he actually a Twinkie zombie because all the human zombies want to eat the humans?
Ooh, yes, yes. That's wonderful postulation there. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Tallahassee explains that Twinkies have an expiration date, which is creeping up. Now, in 2009, when this movie was made, Twinkies had an official shelf life of 25 days. I bet the minimum wage factory workers were only required to keep working for like an extra week or two until all their bosses died.
Yeah, probably.
So that deadline for a fresh snack cake is imminent.
Hmm.
Do you have a snack that you would venture across the country for?
Mm.
Would you just look for a case of Guinness?
That might be the case. Yes, the case of
The
Guinness.
case of the
Yes.
case of Guinness. Ooh, any chips you would like to eat?
I like those nasty salt and vinegar ones that you detest, or generally, Cheetos, the really crunchy ones might be. Yeah.
Tallahassee and Columbus encounter an abandoned hostess truck, but it's filled with nothing but loose pink snowballs, which sets Tallahassee into a rage.
Damn snowballs.
It's so weird that they're not in boxes.
I know. They're just all over the place.
I like that I can accept that zombies exist in this universe, and all the characters have survived so far, but I draw the line at loose packages of pastry treats in the back of a delivery truck.
Of course.
We learn that prior to the zombie outbreak, Columbus spent his time alone in his giant apartment playing video games and drinking Code Red Mountain Dew. I don't want to dwell on it, but his apartment was bigger and nicer than any apartment I ever lived in, especially when I was in college. And the star of the movie said it was his dorm. That is not a dorm. And I don't know if he's supposed to be working out his bachelor's degree or if he's in grad school, but how did he pay his rent and afford to order pizza every night?
And all the Code Red Mountain Dew that he was drinking.
Well, soda didn't cost $1 million back then.
That's true. That's probably all he would have been able to afford. Yeah.
They could have just said from college. They didn't have to say dorm.
Yeah. Yeah. It was an apartment.
How can he afford it? All he does is play video games. He doesn't have a job. Maybe
Don't
we
know.
should have gone to grad school in Austin, Texas, if they would have provided housing for us.
Maybe. Although, as far as I know, Austin is really bloody expensive. So,
Well, it doesn't matter. It's the apocalypse. Oh no, is he still
True.
going to have to pay off his student loans?
probably.
Ouch. Anyway, he is playing video games in solitude while lamenting that his greatest fear is clowns, but his greatest desire is to find a girl for a relationship so he can brush her hair over her ear. I specifically want to point out that he refers to women he's attracted to as girls throughout this movie because I find that particularly annoying and a bit creepy.
Mm.
He's the protagonist, so I don't think we're supposed to be bothered by this.
Well, no. Yes.
His video game is interrupted when his blonde neighbor from apartment 406 pounds on his door. He's apparently infatuated with this woman, but he doesn't know her name. She's in tears because a man bit her.
Mm-hmm.
After he reassures his nameless neighbor, she kisses him on the cheek and snuggles up on him and falls asleep on the sofa.
So sweet?
I guess.
Question mark.
She's in apartment 406. She was attacked outside, came home, climbed up 4 flights of stairs, and then went to her stranger neighbor for help.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
during this brief nap, the woman apparently died, transformed into a zombie, and instantly began decaying.
Yes.
I always thought zombies looked so gross because they had been dead for a while and were decomposing, but I guess this one just instant zombie.
Well, it comes with a instant makeover that happens with zombification, I think.
She attacks Columbus, and I noticed that she's wearing shoes. Did she fall asleep with her shoes on, or did she put them back on after she was zombified?
Ooh, good question. I did not notice that one, but looking back, yeah, she was wearing shoes. So, yeah, who would fall asleep with their
Wearing
shoes on?
shoes. They fight in the bathroom, and Columbus concludes that he can't trust anyone because this is the first girl he let into his life, and it didn't turn out well.
Mm-hmm.
He defeats his unnamed neighbor by beaming her across the face with the ceramic lid from the toilet tank.
Of course. What else are you going to use?
Back in the present time, the men stop at a grocery store, fight some zombies, and encounter a living person.
Oh, gosh, living people.
Columbus immediately notes that this woman is of marriageable age, and he follows her to meet her sister. The older sibling is from Wichita, and the younger sister is from Little Rock. They explain that the 12-year-old was bit and ask the men to shoot her because they don't have a gun. Tallahassee aims his weapon at the child's head, but Wichita interrupts by exclaiming, "She'll do it." Once she has Tallahassee's gun, the sisters reveal it was a ruse,
Ha ha!
and they're going to steal the weapons and vehicle.
Ha ha.
Columbus is mad because the siblings made him look stupid and he can't trust them.
Oh no.
As the men scavenge for a new vehicle, Tallahassee refers to the sisters as stupid little bitches. While this isn't the absolute worst thing to call someone, I was a little surprised how often women and girls are referred to as such.
Ah, yes, yes.
I counted 3 times in a movie that only runs 81 minutes. It seemed extra noticeable because I didn't hear any gendered insults lobbed at the men.
Right.
Anyway, the men find a boxy, yellow automobile that kind of looks like how a child would draw a picture of a school bus. It's fortuitously filled with guns, and Tallahassee paints the number 3 on the doors. The gruff zombie slayer reveals that he lost a puppy named Buck, and he advises his protege that you have to enjoy the little things. Columbus agrees and dutifully adds this advice to his list of rules. Afterwards, the men encounter their previous vehicle, abandoned, with the hood open, and wafting CGI smoke.
Yes, the CGI smoke is particularly noticeable.
It was only 2009. That was the best technology could do.
I guess so.
Tallahassee suspects it's a trap. And he's right. While the Twinkie-loving cowboy examines the broken-down vehicle, 12-year-old Little Rock takes college student Columbus hostage. Wichita joins them and drives while her sister holds the men at gunpoint. The rulemaker, with a nervous tummy, thinks about how much he likes Wichita because she's not, and I quote, a stuck-up bitch. Anyway, the movie flashes back to a scene where the sisters scam a gas station attendant out of $400 because he's too busy ogling Wichita to think with his upper brain.
Yeah.
Is that the same guy who gets attacked by zombies in the bathroom at the start of the movie?
Yes, it is.
In the present, everyone winds up with a gun and points it at each other, but Columbus freaks out and chastises everyone into being friends. Little Rock reveals that they're heading to an amusement park in California because it's zombie-free. Tallahassee said that place totally blows his mind because he didn't want to insult the little girl who was holding him at gunpoint.
Yes.
After Columbus learns that the city of Columbus was destroyed, he pouts until the sisters invite him to travel with them.
Aw.
The group stops at a gift shop in Arizona that has questionable Native American decorations that make me think this is a tourist trap owned by white people.
Yes, and I think they very obviously, purposefully made that so.
It's a mishmash of cheap, mass-produced goods that appear to be appropriated from unrelated tribes and locations, but there might actually be some actual pottery mixed in.
Maybe.
It looks a little nicer than wall drug,
Eh.
But it's a kitschy shop full of generic knickknacks made for white customers, not what you'd actually see at a real art market.
Right.
In order to follow Rule 32 and enjoy the little things, the characters destroy the store. As they demolish the tchotchkes, the younger sister runs around wearing a Great Plains style commercially produced war bonnet.
Ah, yes.
Now, do we want to address how inappropriate it is for a white person to wear a war bonnet, or do we want to talk about
Mm.
how problematic it is to have a character named Columbus trash a
Ah,
native themed gift shop?
yes. That definitely is
It's a thing.
might have been a commentary. I mean, it could have been a commentary of some sort. I'm not sure, but
If they
yeah.
if they would have had indigenous characters in the movie trash this white owned tourist trap, that could have been saying
True.
something.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm supposed to read this scene.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know if they were thinking about it or if that's just how it is.
Yeah. I suspect they were thinking about it, but I'm not sure how they were thinking about it, perhaps. I
Anyway,
don't know.
there's a montage of the quartet conversing and bickering on their road trip, and they arrive in Los Angeles. How are all the gas pumps still working? Don't they need
Ah,
electricity?
good question. Good question.
Because they can stay anywhere in this post apocalyptic world, they select an estate that has BM welded to the gates.
Now, wasn't Tallahassee just joking about number two?
Yeah, he was giggling at that quite a bit, but nobody even
Uh-uh.
snickered at
Nope.
BM
Nope.
because this is apparently hallowed ground. This is the estate of Bill Murray.
Oh, yes. Hollow ground.
Little Rock asks who Bill Murray is, even though he's apparently her older sister's favorite actor.
Yeah. Who knows?
Columbus and Little Rock find the mansion's private movie theater so they can watch Ghostbusters, while
Mm-mm.
their older counterparts explore the house. Suddenly, an undead Bill Murray shows up, and Wichita smacks him with a golf club.
Ow! What'd you do that for?
As the man who knew too little cries out in pain, they realize he's still alive but dressed as a zombie.
Well, yeah, he likes to get out and do stuff.
Yeah, Bill reveals his true stripes and explains that he puts on ghoulish makeup to blend in with the zombies so they don't mess with him because the dead don't die.
Yes.
Tallahassee professes his love for Bill. They smoke some drugs, and the three of them dress up and play Ghostbusters.
Yes. I think that's a prize for anybody who breaks into Bill Murray's house, right? I don't know.
Is that offer still standing?
I don't know.
They decide to scare their companions, so Bill creeps into the movie theater and unsurprisingly scares Columbus.
Yes, and he grabs his shotgun and shoots him.
Yeah, something gets lost in translation, so
Ah,
he shoots Bill Murray in the chest, who is now absolutely Scrooged.
Yep, absolutely Scrooged.
After they enshroud Steve Zissou's corpse, they salute him with guns. The alive characters then dump the limp mannequin playing the part of Bill Murray's corpse off the side of the building.
Yes, and then there's the one time where they use hand sanitizer.
Right. There is nasty zombie goo flying everywhere, and they have no
Yes.
problem with it.
Yes.
But handling the corpse.
Yes, of Bill Murray required some, yes. And then they give him a four-gun salute, I guess, which, yes, they were really pulling those triggers.
Later that evening, Tallahassee laments that he misses Buck and dries his eyes with wads of cash. When he shows off the duct tape wallet he and Buck made together, the bright young college student realizes that Buck was his friend's son, not his dog.
Yes.
Tallahassee and Little Rock then bond while destroying things in Bill Murray's giant house. He gives her fatherly shooting advice.
Yes, yes. Fatherly shooting advice. What everybody needs.
Meanwhile, Columbus and his love interests drink fancy wine and reminisce about the year 1997.
Ooh.
The lad from Ohio complains that no one asked him to the 8th grade Sadie Hawkins dance, prompting his Kansan love interest to insult his classmates.
Very good.
They dance, and is there actually music playing, or is that just the movie soundtrack?
Probably just the soundtrack.
They're about to kiss, but Tallahassee interrupts with a request to build a fort. Wichita tells the leading man that she likes him, but protecting her sister is her top priority. The sisters leave for the amusement park on their own. The character named after North America's most famous genocider whines about being abandoned, and Tallahassee tries to comfort him by suggesting they travel to Mexico.
Yes.
They can get some submarinos.
Oh, yes, I suppose.
Well, Twinkies in Spanish.
Yes, yes.
Columbus declines his offer, and after griping about feeling abandoned, he decides to abandon his friend.
Yes.
He attempts to drive off on a motorcycle, but he is defeated by a shrub.
Yes, yes. The bushes definitely take care of that idea.
Tallahassee pities him, and they both head off to the theme park.
Yes.
The sisters turn on all the power at the park, and somehow they both can go on the rides without anyone operating them.
Yeah, I find that rather curious.
Yeah, while I can accept that zombies are real, I somehow cannot suspend my disbelief so far to think that you could go on a ride without someone else turning it on or stopping it.
Yeah, I think the stopping it would be kind of a key thing. Maybe
You have to be strapped in, and then you have to push the button. And
yeah, I don't know. So,
Aaron, where does your willing suspension of disbelief end with this film?
well, definitely the amusement park scene kills it.
You can make it that far?
Well, on a certain farcical sense, yes. But then you'd think the writers would give the woman characters more credit for knowing that turning all that stuff on would attract all the zombies from like a mile radius.
And it does. The carnival is quickly overrun by shambling hordes who crave human flesh, and this suddenly feels like a typical visit to a county fair.
Yes, yes.
I remember the last time we went to the county fair because a friend of ours was working there, and I was waiting in line forever for mini donuts.
Right.
And I got up to the front, and they weren't even making the mini donuts. They were just packaged Walmart mini donuts. They were selling for like $15 a dozen.
Yeah, yeah. And then we had to walk through a colon.
Oh yeah, the inflatable colon. Was that one of the medical booths?
Yes, yes. I think it was one of the medical booths.
Oh, I would also like it noted I did not buy the subpar donuts, but I do know how Tallahassee felt when he was disappointed because he thought he was getting Twinkies and he got those snowballs instead.
Yes, definitely.
So maybe that's why I empathize with that character so much. Such a long, horrible journey, and you don't even get the treat you want.
Yes, yes.
Fortunately, the siblings have guns that shoot infinite bullets, and they blast the ghouls as they make their way to another ride. It's one of those attractions where you sit in a harness with your feet dangling, and it launches you straight up in the air. Hundreds of reanimated corpses gather at the base of the tower while the sisters are at the top.
Yes.
And they somehow seem surprised that the ride drops them back down.
Yes, yes, they do seem surprised that, yes.
I can't get you to go on one of those rides with me because you know how the ride will conclude.
Yes, and I definitely have to make sure if I do go on the ride that my probable use of expletives while on the ride will not be overly offensive to other goers of such entertainment.
Years ago, this is for our friends listening, we went to an amusement park. It wasn't like a roller coaster, but the track was above you and it made a long, stretched out U shape. And you sat in it in this type of harness with your feet dangling. And it shot us straight forward and we went up in the air. And then we came screaming back and twisted a little. And the whole ride halted. And we all clotheslined ourselves in the harnesses. And clear as a bell, after everyone had the wind knocked out of them, Aaron said a beautiful expletive that could be heard clear across the park. I heard 3 dads on the ride start giggling. And then suddenly, and the ride took off again, and you will not go on that with me again.
Probably not.
But we did get mini donuts that day too.
We did. And you had lots of cotton candy.
Oh my gosh. I ate my own body weight in cotton candy. Anyway, there are zombies gathered at the base of this ride. The sisters are shooting the zombies, and I still don't understand how they were surprised that the ride drops back down.
Yes, but it was the chance for the younger one to use the fatherly shooting advice to shoot the controls that somehow stopped them from coming down.
She hit the plot button by shooting it. And now their ride is stuck partway up the tower.
Yes.
They spot the menfolk and shout for help.
Help!
Tallahassee is more than happy to oblige. He attracts the cannibalistic carcasses with an air horn and then mows them down with a gun that shoots very quickly. He rides a roller coaster that is running on autopilot, apparently, and he eventually positions himself in a game booth and lays waste many a zombie.
Yes. I suspect the little roller coaster part was just for the creation of a video game after the fact, I'm sure.
The chap we're supposed to root for scampers around and shoots some of the undead adversaries as well. He winds up in a haunted house and then comes face to face with an actively deceased clown.
No!
He decides to break Rule 17 because he wants to be a hero. After bashing in the clown's head, he makes his way to the ride with the stuck sisters. He pulls the emergency brake lever, which somehow causes the ride to drop, and the siblings are freed.
Yes, somehow that worked.
Columbus brushes Wichita's hair over her ear, and they smooch.
Aw, to the disgust of the younger sister.
The trio reunites with Tallahassee, who is destroying a snack stand because he can't find the elusive Twinkie.
Well, it has Twinkie on the sign, so there must be Twinkies in there.
Columbus shoots a closed door because he heard a noise and because he learned absolutely nothing from when he murdered Bill Murray.
Yes, actually, they both shot the door.
Oh, I thought only he did.
Nope, they both did.
Well, 2 fake rats give him a jump scare, and it turns out that Columbus shot the last box of Twinkies.
Yes.
If things couldn't get worse, he sees the sisters about to drive away, but they're just teasing.
Mm-hmm.
Funny. Little Rock tosses a Twinkie to her new father figure, and the protagonist waxes poetic about how it's important to enjoy the little things, and they all drive off together.
Mm-hmm. What do you suppose that Twinkie was actually made out of, seeing that Woody Harrelson was a vegan?
I don't know, but it just kind of reminds me of whenever we see cattails growing in the wild and it's like, oh look, organic corn dogs. But speaking of the great lengths people will go to just to make sure their friends have access to their favorite junk food, do you know who else would slaughter legions of the undead just to make sure you had good snacks, Aaron?
Our sponsors?
Yeah, the sponsors that support this show. Coincidentally, I am the sponsor of the show. And I would battle zombies to make sure you get the best treats.
Aw, you're wonderful.
You're wonderful. Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse is sponsored by the unaccredited College of Klaire. And by sponsored, I mean I make this podcast happen with a lot of work. And I do all the work at UCK. Do I make enough money to justify either project? Well, no. However, I do appreciate the support of everyone who has joined the unaccredited College of Klaire at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart, spelled KLAIRELOCKHEART. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the program, my friends. Before we dive into our discussion about Zombieland and later rate it on the Maenad-O-Meter,
Manometer.
I want to quickly remind everyone that the goal of the show is to examine dystopian media through an intersectional feminist lens. I feel it's important to point this out because in my experience, it often feels like feminism is regarded as an F word, when it simply means that women are people and should be treated like it.
Yes, everyone are people and should
Yeah.
be treated like it.
If I keep talking about feminism, hopefully this will make it feel less taboo for those of us who live in regressive areas. If we feel empowered to speak up, this can result in more inclusive communities.
Hear, hear.
Aaron, can we kick things off by talking about the weapons in this movie?
The weapons aren't that extraordinary apart from the never-ending bullets.
So, Aaron, I am relying on you and your expertise because I know that you have literally shot ammunition.
Ah, yes, I have photographed ammunition quite a bit.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's my terrible pun for when you do photo shoots of bullets or shell
Yes.
casings. I don't even know the terminology, so that's why I need your help.
Yes, yes.
One of your most iconic photo shoots was when you created these dramatic compositions of ammunition lodged in ballistics gel, where you built this special light table for it. And the pictures are so amazing, they would make the opening credits of a James Bond movie jealous.
Well, thank you. That's so sweet. Those are from a while ago, but yes.
Okay, yeah, even though you won a bunch of awards for that campaign in 2022, this movie was from 2009 and we're talking about it. So
True. So yes, that all makes sense. It does. But yes, it would be photographs of the projectile would be the proper term that was lodged within the gelatin after ballistics tests. And yes, all the crazy lighting and all sorts of stuff that we did.
Aaron, do you remember what award you got for that project?
It was the brand campaign, which I do with Jackalope. It won gold at the 2022 American Advertising Awards.
I went with you for the awards ceremony. Was it the regional?
Yeah, that was the regional. And then we also got gold at the District 8. Yes,
Ah.
which is the next step up.
See, you are the expert in shooting ammunition.
Ha 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 ha.
But back to the movie, it seemed like everyone's gun had unlimited ammunition. Correct
Yes.
me if I'm wrong, because my only frame of reference is Nerf, and you could just pick those up and put them back in the gun. But after shooting a bit, when the characters need to reload,
Yes. And it was that Columbus, occasionally had to reload his double-barrel shotgun, which only has 2 shots in it. But also that somehow, I don't know how, the mystery of the realm of his pockets, which obviously were carrying hundreds and hundreds of shotgun shells, but created no bulk upon his body.
and I'm assuming you don't need specialized ammunition with a gun. Just anything you come across will work. You just shove it in the gun and it's good.
Apparently. Well, they had them finding guns, but they never had them finding ammunition. It was just there.
I also have to wonder, it's probably a bad idea to constantly be pointing your loaded gun at your friends.
Oh yeah, they were gesturing wildly with those weapons. Yes.
This is why I shouldn't be allowed anything deadlier than Nerf. You've seen how I talk with my hands and flail around like a Muppet. Oh my goodness. That is why my weapon of choice for the post apocalypse will definitely be a chainsaw.
Yes, definitely. But where will the never-ending gas come
Oh
from?
no, I'm just going to have a really long extension cord because in this
Oh,
universe, all the electricity
oh, right,
works.
right. Yes, because they had electricity everywhere, but then they were lamenting about how they didn't have hot showers. So
Hmm.
yeah, we couldn't quite figure that out.
Well, they had very smooth, clean hair, and
True, true. And
I
their makeup was
was
always flawless.
impressed by how her eyeshadow kept getting bigger and bigger as the movie went on.
Ah,
But if
yes,
she can't
yes.
wash it off, she just has to put more on.
True, true, true.
I suppose if we're going to talk about the actual characters in this movie instead of their unique handling of weapons, I
Yes.
do want to talk about how the main character referred to the feminine characters in the film.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you also noticed that Columbus always called the adult women girls.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
yeah.
As an adult human being who happens to be a woman, I really hate it when men call me a girl. I am an adult person and I find it exhausting and infantilizing.
Mm.
I never hear men called boys nearly as often as I hear women called girls.
True. I'm guilty of this occasionally as well. And, it wasn't until a number of years ago that realization came about for me as well. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, totally.
Even if the intent isn't meant to be demeaning, it does feel like I am being a child, especially when it's bosses, professors, or authority figures who talk like that.
Yes.
And I especially find it creepy when men call the women they want to bone girls.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yep.
it's weird, and I specifically mean the bad type of weird, the vice presidential candidate and his relationship with couches type of weird.
Oh,
It's not as bad as when men refer to other men as men and they exclusively call women females. That is the absolute
oh,
worst.
yes, yes, yes. That is,
Yeah.
mm,
Ooh, that is the creepiest,
yeah.
bad, weirdest
That just like
vernacular.
always, whenever I hear somebody saying that, it just makes me picture them as, the Ferengi character from Deep Space Nine. Say, female, female.
Oh, so I guess maybe calling adult women girls isn't as bad, but it can be better. It's easy to change
Yes,
vocabulary with a little practice.
yes.
And I suppose we should also probably talk about the feminine characters themselves.
Yes.
There were only three, and
Hmm.
two of them only existed for the main guy to want to date.
Yep.
Aaron, what did you think of the characters?
Really, the main cast was excessively limited in the movie. And if you do look at the math of it, there actually were three men in the movie and three women as actual kind of speaking characters.
The gas station
Uh,
guy had a line.
oh, yes, yes. I always forget about the gas station guy for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because he just seems very inconsequential. Um, so you are right. But yes, so you have the two that get killed off. So you have the 406
The
woman, and then
neighbor.
yes, the neighbor, and then you have Bill Murray, who are short-lived characters, and then you have the two gentlemen and the two woman characters.
Oh, you were talking about the two characters that die that had speaking parts, and they
Yes.
both were killed by Columbus. Which death do
True.
you think is more demeaning? Being his
Oh,
neighbor he didn't know the name of but wanted to bone, and he
right,
murders you with a toilet,
right.
or being Bill Murray, who Tallahassee wants to bone and getting murdered by the main character on accident.
The first one is definitely more demeaning. Definitely. The neighbor is clearly the case. I mean, I think the women in some sense with why do I always forget their towns that they're from?
Wichita is the older
Wichita,
one.
yes.
And Little Rock is the little one.
Right. The sisters definitely have agency within the story with their taking advantage of the guys and tricking them and stealing their stuff, etc., multiple times. But, it's all very superficial in the entire movie itself. So it's a comedy, it's a farce, it's not exactly huge character development. So
yeah. The two adult women, they only served as love interests for the main guy. But I do think Little Rock's character had the most significance out of the women and girls because she's the one who wanted to go to the amusement park, so that drove the story. I think they actually did let her drive a little bit in the story too.
Yes, they did.
She's brave. She lets strangers point guns at her so she can trick them and steal their weapons. And she's also taking hold of her own narrative by pointing guns at strangers.
True.
Plus, she found that final Twinkie.
Ah, she did.
Are you ready to evaluate the film, Aaron?
I think so. I'll let you go first.
We use the Maenad-O-Meter to rate apocalyptic media, considering how it treats and includes the feminine characters. The Maenads originate from ancient Greek mythology, and they were the followers of Dionysus, referred to as the Raving Ones. There are stories about them tearing apart their oppressors limb from limb, and that's why we use a scale of 0 to 5 skulls. If the movie is inclusive, diverse, and respectful, it will earn a high score. If the movie lacks diversity and it treats the feminine characters and people of other marginalized genders poorly, then it will merit a low score. Our evaluation will be separate from if we like the movie or think it is successful. This rating is simply to determine how women and people of other marginalized genders were represented. I think I will give Zombieland 2 skulls. I only counted 7 characters who had lines, and 3 of them were feminine, so that's not too bad. Additionally, only 1 of the women died a gruesome death. However, both of the adult women only served as potential love interests for the main character, and he referred to them all as girls. The feminine characters weren't as developed as the masculine ones, and ultimately the sisters had to be rescued by the men so the older sibling could be awarded to the main guy in order to appease the ghost of Joseph Campbell. Additionally, there wasn't a lot of diversity in the main cast, and I find it very odd how most people who make apocalyptic movies can only envision a world where white people survive. Speaking of survivors, it was very off-putting that the movie opened up with a joke to explain that, of course, all the people who were fat died immediately, and the living characters made fun of overweight zombies in the grocery store later on. People are constantly scrutinized for their weight in the real world, and I don't know why our entertainment has to reinforce this negative treatment. So that's why I'm going to give this movie 2 skulls. Aaron, using the scale of 0 to 5 skulls to evaluate how the feminine characters were represented in this film, how would you rate Zombieland?
I was kind of hemming and hawing between 2 and maybe 2.5. I was giving it a little bit of credit because of just the overall lack of character development for anybody in the movie. For the most part, and that it was just mostly based on sort of shtick and situational comedy and physical comedy. But yes, you are very right in that the older women were definitely seen as the sort of prize elements, especially the older sister towards the end, although the younger sister did give some of the best agency in the movie. Then also, yes, it was excessively white. There was maybe a couple of zombies of color and such, but not really much. So that kind of knocks it down. I totally enjoy the movie. I think it's Very funny. I really enjoy that they got Bill Murray, which apparently was a last minute thing,
Mhm.
as it seems Bill Murray bit parts in movies tend to be.
I
It's
think if
like,
you break into his house, he has to be in your movie.
so yeah, in all of those aspects, two is kind of right on track.
You want to go
But
with 2 or 2.5?
I'll go 2.5.
Yeah.
Very funny movie. And actually, I think they alleviated some of those things in the sequel.
Mm.
Not much. I mean, mostly the diversity. I don't know about the rest of it, but
Yeah, the treatment of women seems to be worse in the second one.
yeah, still a little bit.
But
Yep.
anyway, I want to say that I appreciate that we can use this program as an example to demonstrate that it's okay to disagree and discuss topics in an era when it feels like everyone spends their free time screaming at each other on social media. So
Hmm.
it's fine that we can disagree. That's part of the fun. And with that in mind, I want to reveal the rating our fabulous friends from the unaccredited College of Claire gave to Zombieland. For
Mm.
each episode, everyone who is part of the UCK community gets the opportunity to weigh in on the topics we cover for the show. And it really makes me happy when people join us at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart so they can contribute. For Zombieland, our wonderful friends gave it an average of 4.2 skulls.
Mm. Okay.
Aaron, thank you again for joining me to discuss Zombieland.
Oh, thank you.
Does this mean we can start putting up the Halloween decorations already?
Probably. I'd say so. Might as well.
Before you go, I want to quickly remind our friends to keep listening because I'll announce the next recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree soon. I also need to shamelessly plug your website, Aaron. I want our friends to visit your website, aaronpackard.com, which is spelled Aaronpackard. That way, they can see your amazing photographs of ballistics gel along with your other incredible work. They can also connect with you on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Aaron C Packard to make sure they get the correct Aaron Packard.
Yes, yes, there are a few out there.
Aaron, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear.
You're the best.
You're the best.
All right. Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse is part of the Department of Dystopian Studies at the unaccredited College of Claire. Yes, you guessed it. The unaccredited College of Claire is my academia-themed Patreon account, and it's very serious and not at all absurd. Since I'm the founder of UCK, I have the privilege of bestowing honorary degrees to wonderful people who are shaping the world around them for the better. Today, I am excited to reveal the recipient of the Honorary Doctorate of Dystopian Studies degree, Rebekah Borucki. Rebekah is a wellness influencer at Beck's Life, the author of 3 books on mindfulness for adults, and she wrote the Zara's Big Messy book series for children. In addition to being a nonprofit founder, they are the founder of Row House Publishing. To see some of her work, check out Row House Publishing by visiting rowhousepublishing.com. That's spelled ROWHOUSEPUBLISHING. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rebekah Borucki.
I already have it. I'm already a doctor. I'm putting this in my bio. I'm very excited.
Yes. Excellent. I am thrilled to have you here, and you have been making incredible strides within your industry. And I was hoping you could tell me a little bit more about making USA Today's bestseller list.
Oh, yes. That's our most recent accomplishment as an indie micro Black woman owned and operated company. Black and brown women. There's other cool folks that are helping. Yeah, so We Alive Beloved is the debut poetry collection of Fred Joseph, who's already a New York Times bestselling author, but I could say that this felt like his first book, at least from his vibes. Yeah, a Black man writing a book of poetry and making a bestseller list is kind of a rad thing. I hope it's a sign of society shift towards something better, maybe, hopefully.
That's wonderful. And people can buy this book through your
Every,
website, of course.
yeah, everywhere books are sold, even Amazon.
Rebekah, I'm happy that you could fit me into your schedule. Because I respect your time, I'm not going to make you give a tedious acceptance speech in exchange for your award. Instead, I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions so our wonderful friends who are listening will get to know more about you.
Okay.
Let's begin. First of all, what is one of your favorite post-apocalyptic series of books?
Post-apocalyptic series of books feels like any book written by a Black or brown person. I'll say N.K. Jemisin. Anything that she's written is my favorite. I think that Black folks kind of have the finger on the pulse of what the post-apocalypse would look like, because it kind of feels like we're in it right now.
Tell me more. Is there a book that stands out to you the most?
I read 25 books at the same time, so I'm not going to venture to guess a name of a book that I'm reading, but yeah, I'm definitely reading a lot. I have, ADHD, autism, all that good stuff.
I'm just impressed by how many books you're reading at a time. I will definitely bow to your ability to
My
absorb.
inability to focus on one thing at a time. Yeah.
I feel like I can relate. I have so many projects going at the same time, but I think you are winning in that contest. Now, if we start a doomsday community, Rebekah, what skills do you have that would make you a good cult leader?
So my children tell me all the time that I'm not only the most likely person to join a cult, but I'm the most likely person to run a cult. I'm tall, I'm bossy, I have a lot of upper body strength. I think I'm funny and charismatic. Yeah, I think those are pretty much the requirements. I love religion, especially ritual and anything that's wild or bizarre. The only quality I don't have is I'm not hypersexual or like to be naked or naked fighting in situations, which happens a lot in cults, I hear. Yeah.
So you might have a more friendly cult that's not
No.
as... No.
It won't be sex.
Oh, okay. You can do all the other cult leadership with your charisma.
The manipulation, the real thing, and why I would love to have a cult, not just, I don't necessarily know if I have the qualities to run a cult, is that I don't like to do physical labor. And I've seen a lot of cults where they're all hammering and, raising buildings together and whatever raising means destruction. I don't know, but they're doing the things that you do to have a house to live in. And I'm not interested in that. No.
Oh, I like it. Since we're being very serious, I'll have to ask you a very hard question next. Would you rather fight a Teddy Ruxpin the size of an actual bear or a swarm of evil Cabbage Patch dolls?
Oh, I'd like to fight a Teddy Ruxpin. I think that hand-to-hand combat could be kind of romantic in an S&M type of way. And he's like a weird guy. I code Teddy Ruxpin as autistic, which is okay for me to say because I am. And yeah, I think it would be sweet. I love Teddy Ruxpin.
Just in case society collapses, are you hiding anything to use later?
I don't even love these questions because I don't think I would survive the apocalypse. I don't want to work. I don't want to fight. I'll fight Teddy Ruxpin because he's cuddly. I'm going to have the pill. I'm going to have that, secret pill that Congress doesn't want us to have to use on myself for me, because it's not interesting to me to suffer. I live in New Jersey. I like convenience, and I like malls, and I like highways, and I can order any kind of food to my house. But is there something I'm going to hide? Like all the food, I don't know. I'm very selfish. I'm in social justice work now, but I will become very selfish in the post-apocalypse, which I think maybe I'll act like a white person. I'll become fully white. I'm only half white now. I'll become fully white in the post-apocalypse. burn this interview.
Oh, goodness. To conclude, when it feels like the world is ending, what advice do you have to help us feel grounded?
Really lean into the thought of the world ending. This morning, I watched a documentary about infinity on Netflix. I think it's called The Path to Infinity. I'm not sure, but just type in infinity and you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that my second oldest child, my oldest son, Calvin, he's 24 right now, and he's kind of a nihilist. And so he's constantly telling me, Mom, nothing matters, so why do anything? And I say, nothing matters, so do everything. So lean into the nothingness, the void, the existential drama. It'll make you very much less afraid, and it will give you a sense of freedom. So yeah, that's my advice.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome. I hope this helps. And please don't write me hate messages, because I really am here in the spirit of enlightenment.
Yes, you have an incredible presence on social media. I do follow you on Instagram, but would you mind sharing how other people could follow you on Instagram or social media as well?
So I am the wizard behind the curtain at all the social media behind Row House Publishing. So please find us at ROWHOUSEPUB, Row House Pub everywhere. You'll be talking to me.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Rebekah.
Thank you.
Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse was created and edited by 3 raccoons in a trench coat named Klaire Lockheart. If you want to see what additional marvels these raccoons masquerading as a human can do, head to clairelockhart.com. That's spelled KLAIRELOCKHEART.com. Special thanks to Aaron C Packard of Aaron C Packard Productions for providing the In a World voice work and my recording equipment. Visit aaronpackard.com to see his incredible photography. Aaron Packard is spelled AARONPACKARD. Finally, thank you once again for supporting this podcast. When you download, listen, rate, subscribe, or recommend this show, it means so much to me. Thank you for being part of my dystopian community.